The cold sleep chamber hissed as it opened. Captain Lee Dae-ho felt the warm air touch his face for the first time in 100 years. His body ached as the machines pulled tubes and wires from his skin. The long journey from Earth was finally over. Lee sat up slowly. His muscles felt weak after the long sleep. Around him, other chambers were opening too. White steam filled the huge room as thousands of people woke up from their frozen dreams. The sound of coughing and groaning echoed through the massive ship. "Captain," a soft voice spoke from the walls. It was Arya, the ship's computer brain. "Welcome back. We have reached the Kepler system. All crew members are waking up now." Lee stood on shaky legs. Through the metal window he could see stars. But these were not the stars of home. These were new stars in a new part of space. After 100 years of traveling through the dark, they had finally arrived. "How many people are awake?" Lee asked as he put on his blue uniform. 50,000 crew members are waking up now," Arya replied. "All ship systems are working. The Titan is healthy and ready." The Titan was not just a ship. It was a flying city, 15 kilometers long and 3 kilometers wide. It held everything humans needed to build a new home among the stars. Farms to grow food, factories to make tools, schools for children, hospitals for the sick, everything needed for life. Lee walked through the corridors as people stumbled out of their sleep chambers. Children cried as they woke up in a strange place. Parents held them close and whispered that everything would be okay. Old people moved slowly, their bodies stiff from the long sleep. The bridge of the Titan was huge. Windows showed the starfield outside. Computer screens glowed with information about their new solar system. Lee sat in his captain's chair and looked around at his crew. Chief Engineer Park Min-soo was a short man with kind eyes. He had built machines on Mars before joining the Titan mission. "All engines working fine, Captain," he said with a smile. "The ship is strong." Dr. Kim Ji-won was the ship's expert on alien life. She was young but very smart. Her job was to study any life they found on new worlds. "The planet looks good for life," she said, pointing at a screen. "We might find plants and animals there." Security Chief Choi Hun-woo was a tall, serious man. He had been a soldier before becoming the ship's guard leader. His job was to keep everyone safe. "Weapons and shields are ready," he reported. "Just in case we meet trouble." Lee nodded. The Titan was built to be peaceful, but space could be dangerous. They had shields and weapons to protect themselves and the 50,000 people on board. "Arya, show me the planet," Lee commanded. The main screen lit up with a beautiful blue and green world. It looked much like Earth, with white clouds and blue oceans. It was the perfect place to build humanity's first home among the stars. "Beautiful," whispered Dr. Kim. "It really does look like home." But then Arya's voice became worried. "Captain, I'm seeing something strange. There are metal objects in space around the planet. They are not natural." The screen changed. Now it showed a huge structure orbiting the planet. It was made of metal and glass, with lights blinking on its surface. It was clearly built by intelligent beings. The bridge became quiet. Everyone stared at the screen. After 100 years of traveling through empty space, they had found other intelligent life. "We are not alone," Lee whispered. Communication Officer Han Dong-min was a young man who spoke many languages. His job was to talk to other people across the ship. Now he might have to talk to aliens. "Captain, should I try to contact them?" Lee thought carefully. This was the most important moment in human history. How they acted now would decide if humans and aliens became friends or enemies. "Yes," Lee decided. "Send them our friendship message. Use the math and science signals we prepared." Han worked at his computer, preparing the message that would introduce humanity to the galaxy. But as he worked, his instruments picked up something that made his face go pale. "Captain," Han said quietly, "I am hearing many voices on their communication channels." "They sound scared," Lee frowned. "Scared of what?" "I think," Han swallowed hard, "I think they are scared of us." Chief Engineer Park looked confused. "That makes no sense. We just got here. We have not done anything." Security Chief Choi checked his weapon systems. Everything was peaceful and quiet. "Our weapons are not active. We are not threatening anyone." Dr. Kim studied the readings from the alien station. "Maybe they have never seen a ship like ours before." "The Titan is very big." Lee looked out at the stars. The Titan was huge compared to most Earth ships. It had to be big to carry 50,000 people and everything they needed. But to aliens who had never seen humans before, it might look frightening. How big are their ships? Lee asked. Arya scanned the area around the planet. The largest alien ship I can detect is about 2 kilometers long. Most are much smaller. Lee felt his stomach drop. The Titan was 15 kilometers long. To the aliens, it must look like a giant monster ship coming to attack them. They think we are invaders, Lee realized. They think we came here to fight them. The crew looked worried. They had come in peace, hoping to find friends among the stars. Instead, they had accidentally scared an entire alien civilization. What do we do now? Asked Dr. Kim. Lee stood up and looked at his crew. These were good people who had given up everything to travel to the stars. They deserved a chance to build a peaceful life here, and the aliens deserved to know that humans were not their enemies. We show them who we really are, Lee decided. We show them that humans come in peace. We will be patient and careful. We will prove that the Titan is not a warship, but a home. Outside the windows, the alien station waited. 50,000 humans had come across the galaxy looking for a new home. But first, they would have to convince their new neighbors that they were friends, not enemies. The greatest challenge in human history was about to begin. The alarm bells rang through every corridor of the Hegemony orbital platform. Ambassador Veltar moved as fast as his crystal body would allow. His footsteps clicked against the metal floor as he rushed toward the emergency meeting room. Veltar had lived for 300 years. In all that time, the galaxy had been peaceful. Wars were ancient history. Different species solved problems by talking, not fighting. But today, something had changed. The meeting room was full of panic. Representatives from dozens of species filled the seats. The air was thick with different breathing gases that each species needed to stay alive. Ambassador Nethsis floated in her glass tank filled with purple gas. Her cloud-like body swirled with worry. "It is enormous," she whispered. "Larger than anything we have ever built." Commander Krikstal's insect eyes glowed red with fear. His hard shell clicked as he moved nervously. "My sensors show weapons everywhere. This ship is built for destruction." Veltar took his place at the crystal podium. As the oldest member of the council, it was his job to keep everyone calm. But today even he felt afraid. "Show me," he commanded. The huge screen in front of them lit up. It showed a picture that made everyone gasp. A massive black ship moved through space toward their peaceful system. It was shaped like a knife, dark and threatening. Strange symbols covered its hull. 15 kilometers long, reported Science Officer Mothik, his moth-like wings trembling. "Our largest battle cruiser is only 2 kilometers. This thing could destroy our entire defense fleet." Veltar studied the image. The ship's design was unlike anything in their databases. Most peaceful ships were round and smooth, built for comfort and beauty. This ship was angular and sharp, built like a weapon. "What do we know about the species that built it?" Veltar asked. Xenobiologist Quinara's tentacles writhed as she spoke. "Nothing. They are not in any of our records. This is first contact, but not like any first contact in galactic history." That was what scared them most. For thousands of years, new species had joined the galactic community the same way. They would send small, peaceful ships with scientists and diplomats. These ships carried gifts and messages of friendship. Never had anyone announced their presence with a dreadnought-class warship. "Could it be a colony ship?" asked Trade Minister Wexion, his forearms gesturing hopefully. Military analyst Drexum shook his scaled head. "No colony ship needs that much armor plating. Look at these weapon ports along the hull. I count thousands of them." The room fell silent. Thousands of weapons meant this ship could fight entire fleets at once. No peaceful species would build such a thing. "Maybe they come from a dangerous part of space," suggested cultural expert Yelana. Her feathered crest lay flat against her head in worry. "Maybe they needed protection on their journey." "Protection from what?" demanded Fleet Commander Nethsis. "We have mapped the galaxy for millennia. There are no hostile forces in deep space." Veltar knew what everyone was thinking, but nobody wanted to say. This ship came from a species that knew how to fight. They were warriors, and warriors only built one kind of ship. "Have they sent any messages?" Veltar asked. Communications specialist Tron GX's electronic voice crackled with static. "Yes, but we cannot understand them. Their transmission methods are aggressive. They are broadcasting on frequencies that could jam every communication system in the sector. Even their attempts at communication were threatening. Peaceful species use gentle, low-power signals. These beings were shouting across space with enough power to silence everyone else. What do our historians say? Veltar asked. Have we ever encountered anything like this before? Ancient Keeper Vortham was the oldest being on the station. His species lived for thousands of years, and he remembered stories from before the Great Peace. There are legends, he said slowly. Stories of species that evolved on death worlds. Planets so dangerous that only the strongest survived. The room became even quieter. Death worlds were theoretical. Most species evolved on gentle worlds with mild weather and friendly animals. The idea of life surviving on violent, deadly planets was just a scary story. According to the old records, Vortham continued, such species would be fundamentally different from us. They would see the universe as a place of constant danger. They would build everything as if they expected attack at any moment. But surely, said diplomat Rental, if they survived long enough to build starships, they must have learned peace eventually. Vortham's ancient eyes were sad. The records suggest otherwise. A species shaped by constant violence might never learn to be truly peaceful. They might not even understand what peace means. The implications hit everyone at once. They were not dealing with a normal species that might become friends. They were facing something that might not be capable of friendship at all. What are our options? Veltar asked. Military Coordinator Bextar stepped forward. His robot body gleamed under the lights. We could attempt communication. Send our finest diplomats to negotiate. And if they refuse to talk? Asked Veltar. Then we mobilize the combined fleet, Bextar replied. Every member species contributes their ships. We show them that the galaxy is not defenseless. Fleet Commander Nethsis swirled faster in her tank. How many ships could we gather? 10,000 vessels from all member worlds, Bextar calculated. It would be the largest military force in recorded galactic history. Ambassador Veltar felt the weight of the decision. If he chose wrong, billions of lives across the galaxy might be lost. But if he chose to do nothing, they might all become slaves to these unknown warriors. The ship is still approaching, reported sensor operator Klyish. It will reach our system in 6 hours. 6 hours to decide the fate of the galaxy. Veltar looked around the room at all the different species. For thousands of years they had lived together in peace. They traded goods, shared knowledge, and helped each other solve problems. Now a single ship threatened to end all of that. Begin emergency mobilization, Veltar decided. Call every ship from every world, but also prepare our best diplomats. We will try to talk first. If that fails... He paused, the words heavy on his crystal tongue. If that fails, we fight. As the representatives scattered to carry out their orders, Veltar remained staring at the screen. The dark ship continued its approach, growing larger with each passing minute. Somewhere on that ship were beings who had crossed the galaxy to reach them. Were they conquerors seeking new worlds to destroy? Or were they simply misunderstood travelers looking for a new home? In 6 hours they would find out. The galaxy held its breath and waited. Captain Lee Daeho stood in the communication center of the Titan. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, preparing humanity's first message to alien beings. The moment they had dreamed of for centuries was finally here. Song Hyejin, are you ready? Lee asked. First Contact Specialist Song Hyejin nodded nervously. She had spent years preparing for this moment. Her job was to create messages that any intelligent species could understand. She had studied mathematics, physics, and universal concepts that should make sense to anyone. I have prepared the standard First Contact protocol, Song said. Mathematical sequences to show we understand numbers, physical constants to prove we know science, and peaceful symbols to show we are friendly. Lee smiled. Send it. Let the galaxy know that humanity has arrived. Song activated the Titan's communication array. The massive ship had powerful transmitters designed to coordinate with mining fleets across entire star systems. When the message went out, it carried with tremendous power across space. On the alien station, communication specialist Tron Gax nearly fell over as his instruments screamed with alarms. The incoming signal was so powerful it overloaded his receivers. Emergency protocols activated to prevent damage to the station's communication network. They just transmitted with enough power to jam every channel in the sector. Tron Gex reported in panic. This is not a greeting. This is a demonstration of their ability to silence all communication in local space. Back on the Titan, Chief Engineer Park Min-soo was doing his daily system checks. The long journey through space had scattered debris across their path. Small rocks and ice chunks could damage the ship if they hit at high speed. Activating mining lasers, Park announced to his team. We need to clear the debris field before we get closer to the planet. The Titan's industrial mining equipment came online. Massive laser arrays designed to cut through asteroids for valuable metals began firing. Each beam was powerful enough to slice through solid rock like butter. The debris in their path vaporized instantly. On every sensor array within light hours, the alien military watchers saw something that made their worst fears come true. The massive ship had just activated weapon systems capable of destroying small moons. The casual way they vaporized asteroids looked like a warrior species testing their planet-killing weapons. They are demonstrating their firepower, reported military analyst Drexum. Those weapons could crack our homeworld in half. Dr. Kim Ji-won was excited about their new solar system. As the ship's xenobiology expert, her job was to study any life they might find. She had prepared thousands of research drones to explore every corner of the system. Launching scientific survey drones, Kim announced to her team. I want samples from every planet, every moon, every asteroid. We need to understand the local ecosystem before we start building our colony. Thousands of small drones shot out from the Titan's launch bays. They scattered in every direction, their sensors recording everything they saw. Some headed for the planet's surface to study plants and animals. Others flew toward the alien, stationed to observe the new species they had discovered. The alien military commanders watched in horror as what appeared to be scout units for an invasion force spread throughout their system. The small craft were clearly gathering intelligence for the main attack. Invasion scouts deployed, Fleet Commander Nethsis reported. They are mapping our defenses and studying our weaknesses. Security Chief Choi Hyun-woo was worried about proper first contact protocols. His job was to keep the 50,000 people on the Titan safe. When approaching unknown species, safety procedures required defensive systems to be ready. Raising defensive screens, Choi announced. Charging point defense systems to standard readiness. All security teams to stations. The Titan's massive shield generators hummed to life. Energy barriers that could stop nuclear weapons formed around the ship. Thousands of small gun turrets emerged from hidden panels, their targeting systems scanning space for threats. To the alien observers, the ship had just revealed defensive technology that made their entire combined fleet's weapons look like toys. Whatever species built this ship, they were prepared for war on a scale the galaxy had never seen. Full battle configuration achieved, reported sensor operator Clay Ish, his voice shaking. Their shields are generating more energy than our entire planet's power grid. Navigation Officer Yoon Seo-jin was preparing for the next phase of their mission. Her job was to find the best location for humanity's first colony. The planet looked perfect, but they needed to survey possible landing sites. Preparing atmospheric entry probes, Yoon announced. We need detailed surface scans before we can begin colony construction. She launched a dozen research vehicles toward the planet. Each one was designed to survive entry through the atmosphere and study the surface conditions. They carried equipment to test air, water, soil, and local life forms. The alien planetary defense forces watched in terror as what appeared to be the first wave of an invasion force entered their atmosphere. The incoming objects were clearly designed to survive planetary assault conditions. Invasion pods incoming, reported Planetary Defense Commander Zexmal. They are beginning their assault on the homeworld. Back on the Titan's bridge, Captain Lee was growing concerned. They had sent peaceful messages and received no response. Their scientific activities were normal for any exploration mission, but the aliens remained silent. Why are they not answering us? Lee wondered aloud. We have made it clear we are friendly. Communication Officer Han Dong-min frowned at his instruments. I am picking up massive increases in alien communication traffic. They are talking to each other constantly, but they will not talk to us. Dr. Kim studied the readings from her research drones. The alien station is heavily fortified, much more than needed for a peaceful research facility. They seem very focused on military preparation. Security Chief Choi checked his threat assessment systems. Captain, I am detecting thousands of alien ships moving toward this system. It looks like they are gathering a fleet. Lee felt a chill run down his spine. A fleet? Are they planning to attack us? I do not know, Choi replied. But they are bringing every warship they have. Chief Engineer Park looked up from his systems display. Captain, should we power down our equipment? Maybe they think we are being aggressive. Lee considered this carefully. The Titan's systems were all designed for peaceful purposes, but he was beginning to understand that the aliens might see them differently. A ship designed to carry 50,000 people and build colonies would naturally be massive and well-equipped. No, Lee decided. If we power down now, they might think we are preparing to attack. We need to show them we are not afraid, but we are also not hostile. Song Hyejin tried again to establish communication. I am sending mathematical proofs and peaceful symbols on all frequencies. Surely they must understand we are trying to be friendly. But her powerful transmissions only made the aliens more frightened. Each message was so strong it could override emergency communication channels across multiple star systems. Han Dongmin listened to the alien communications with growing concern. Even though he could not understand their languages, the tone was clear. Fear, panic, and preparation for war. Captain, Han reported quietly. I think they are scared of us. Lee stared out at the beautiful blue planet they had hoped to call home. 50,000 humans had traveled for 100 years to reach this place. They had come seeking peace and friendship among the stars. Instead, they had accidentally declared war on an entire galaxy. Fleet Admiral Krixtall had never seen anything like it in his 3 centuries of military service. Ships from every corner of the galaxy were arriving at the emergency gathering point. The combined fleet was growing larger by the hour. His flagship, the Swarm's Pride, was surrounded by vessels of every shape and size. The crystalline ships of the Vex sparkled like diamonds in the starlight. The bioships of the Netheri pulsed with organic light. The geometric craft of the machine species moved in perfect formation. Fleet status report, Krixtall ordered. His second-in-command, Commander Yexilla, consulted her tactical display. 10,000 ships from 47 species, Admiral. More are arriving every hour. This is the largest military force in recorded galactic history. Krixtall's insect eyes glowed with a mixture of pride and fear. Pride that so many civilizations had united to face this threat. Fear of what they might be facing. Any word from our scouts? He asked. The unmanned probes we sent are maintaining distance, Yexilla replied. The alien vessel has not attacked them, but it continues to demonstrate its capabilities. Our sensors show weapon systems more advanced than anything we have ever encountered. On the bridge's main screen, Krixtall watched the recorded footage of the human ship's activities. The casual way it destroyed asteroids was terrifying. The massive energy shields that surrounded it could probably withstand the combined firepower of 100 ships. But what worried him most were the reports from the Xenoarchaeology team. Deep in the archives of the ancient hegemony station, Xenoarchaeologist Vortham was making discoveries that changed everything they thought they knew about the universe. Computer, show me all references to theoretical species classifications, Vortham commanded. The ancient database contained knowledge gathered over millions of years. Most of it dealt with the peaceful species that made up the galactic community. But buried in the oldest files were theoretical profiles of species that had never been found. Until now. Classification. Deathworld natives, the computer announced. Theoretical species evolving on class-loving hostile worlds. Characteristics include advanced survival technology, military-focused social structures, and adaptation to constant environmental threats. Vortham's ancient hands trembled as he read the profile. According to the precursor records, such a species would develop along completely different lines than normal galactic civilizations. Psychological profile indicates species incapable of understanding peaceful coexistence, the computer continued. Social structure based on dominance hierarchies and resource competition. Technology development focused on survival and expansion rather than comfort and art. The implications were staggering. Every species in the galaxy had evolved on gentle worlds where cooperation led to success. They had learned to share resources, solve conflicts through discussion, and build beautiful things for the joy of creation. But a species from a death world would have learned opposite lessons. They would see the universe as a place where only the strong survived. They would build weapons instead of art. They would take what they needed instead of asking for it. Vortham activated his communication link to the fleet command. Admiral Krixtall, I need to speak with you immediately. I have found something in the ancient archives. Within minutes, Vortham was on the flagship's bridge, sharing his terrible discovery with the military leadership. Deathworld natives, Fleet Admiral Krixtall repeated slowly. You are saying this species comes from a planet that tried to kill them? Not just tried, Vortham explained. According to the theoretical models, a Clastoethene death world would have multiple extinction events, aggressive predator species, frequent natural disasters, and limited resources. Only the most adaptable and aggressive species could survive. Commander Yexila studied the ancient data. This explains their ship design. Everything is built for survival in hostile conditions. But surely, said Communications Officer Lexton, if they survived long enough to build starships, they must have learned to be civilized? Vortham shook his head sadly. The psychological profiles suggest otherwise. A species shaped by constant violence and resource competition would carry those behaviors into space. They would see every other species as either prey or threat. The bridge fell silent as everyone considered what this meant. They were not facing a misunderstood peaceful species. They were facing something that might be fundamentally incapable of peace. Have they responded to our diplomatic messages? Crixtal asked. No direct response, Lexton reported, but they continue to broadcast on frequencies powerful enough to jam all communication in the sector. It appears to be some form of psychological warfare. Military analyst Drexum added his own disturbing observations. Admiral, their behavior patterns match ancient war protocols. The initial display of overwhelming force, the deployment of scout units, the refusal to communicate except through demonstrations of power. What do you recommend? Crixtal asked. According to historical records of extinct warrior species, Drexum replied, they only respect superior force. Showing weakness or attempting negotiation is seen as an invitation to attack. The weight of command pressed down on Crixtal's shoulders. 10,000 ships from across the galaxy waited for his orders. Billions of lives depended on his decisions. Option 1, he said to his staff. We attempt diplomatic contact despite the risks. If they are true Death World natives, Vortham warned, they may see diplomatic overtures as weakness and attack immediately. Option 2, Crixtal continued. We position the fleet defensively and wait for them to make the first move, which gives them time to study our capabilities and plan their assault. Drexum pointed out. Option 3, Crixtal said grimly. We attack first while they are still alone. The bridge was quiet. No one in the galactic community had launched a preemptive attack in living memory. It went against everything they believed in. But the alternative might be the extinction of their entire civilization. Admiral, Commander Yexila reported, the alien vessel is changing course. It is heading directly toward the inhabited planet. On the tactical display, they watched the massive human ship adjust its path. It was no longer just passing through the system. It was approaching the world where billions of peaceful aliens lived. Invasion pattern confirmed, military analyst Drexum announced. They are beginning their assault on the homeworld. Fleet Admiral Crixtal made his decision. As the ranking military officer for the combined forces of 47 species, he had the authority to act. All ships, battle stations, he commanded. We move to intercept. If they want that planet, they will have to go through us. Across space, 10,000 warships began to move. The greatest military force in galactic history was about to face a single ship, crewed by beings from a world that had tried to kill them for millions of years. May the ancestors forgive us, Crixtal whispered, for what we are about to do. The peaceful galaxy was about to learn what war really meant. And somewhere on that approaching ship, 50,000 humans who had traveled across the universe looking for a new home had no idea they were about to become the galaxy's greatest nightmare. Captain Lee Daeho was growing frustrated. 3 days had passed since they entered the alien system, and still no response to their peaceful messages. The beautiful blue planet hung before them, so much like Earth, but the beings who lived there refused to talk. They must be afraid, Dr. Kim Ji-won suggested during the morning briefing. Our ship is much larger than theirs. Maybe we should show them we are not a threat. Lee nodded thoughtfully. What do you suggest? We share our technology, Kim replied. Show them something that proves we want to help, not hurt them. Chief Medical Officer Bei Jin-woo leaned forward in his chair. I have been working on advanced medical nanites. They are tiny machines that can cure diseases and heal injuries. This technology could save millions of lives across the galaxy. Lee smiled for the first time in days. Perfect. Nothing says we come in peace like offering to heal the sick. Navigation Officer Yoon Seo-jin volunteered to pilot the shuttle. I will take Dr. Bay and a sample of the nanites to their station. Face-to-face contact is always better than long-distance communication. Take the diplomatic shuttle, Lee ordered. Make sure all weapon systems are disabled. We want them to see we are completely peaceful. As the small shuttle launched from the Titan's Bay, Lee felt hopeful for the first time since their arrival. Soon, humans and aliens would be working together to heal the sick and build a better future. He had no idea that his gesture of friendship was about to start a war. On the alien command ship, Tactical Officer Wextim watched the approaching shuttle with growing alarm. The small craft had launched from the massive dreadnought and was flying directly toward their defensive station. Admiral, Wextim reported, the hostile vessel has launched what appears to be a torpedo delivery system. Fleet Admiral Krickstall studied the tactical display. The approaching craft was small and fast, exactly what a warrior species would use to deliver devastating weapons at close range. What kind of weapon system are we looking at? Krickstall asked. Military analyst Drexum ran the shuttle's profile through the combat database. Based on its size and approach vector, it could be carrying antimatter warheads, biological weapons, or some form of conversion device. Conversion device? Commander Yaxilla asked. Technology designed to transform matter into different forms, Drexum explained. According to the ancient war records, advanced species sometimes used such weapons to convert entire populations into compliant servant organisms. Inside the shuttle, Dr. Bei Jinwoo carefully monitored the container holding humanity's gift to the galaxy. The medical nanites were his life's work, microscopic machines that could enter a body and repair damage from the inside. They could cure cancer, heal injuries, and extend lifespans by centuries. The nanites are stable, Bei reported to pilot Yoon Seo-jin. Once the aliens see what these can do, they will understand we want to help them. Yoon guided the shuttle through space toward the alien station. Through the windows, she could see their destination growing larger. It was beautiful, covered in lights and strange architectural shapes unlike anything humans had ever built. I wonder what they look like, Yoon said with excitement. This is the greatest moment in human history. On the alien station, scanner operator Klyish was analyzing the contents of the approaching shuttle. What he found made his blood freeze. Admiral, Klyish reported in a shaking voice. The shuttle is carrying self-replicating nanomachines. The bridge fell silent. Self-replicating machines were every civilization's nightmare, technology that could reproduce itself endlessly, consuming everything in its path. Are you certain? Krickstall demanded. Positive, Klyish replied. Millions of microscopic machines designed to infiltrate biological systems. Once released, they would spread to every living being on the station. Ancient Keeper Vortham consulted his historical databases. According to the war archives, conversion weapons were among the most feared technologies of extinct warrior species. They would transform conquered populations into hybrid organisms loyal to their creators. Fleet Admiral Krickstall faced an impossible choice. If he allowed the shuttle to dock, billions of beings across the galaxy might be converted into slaves of the Death World species. If he stopped it, he would be firing the first shot in a war that could destroy everything. Time to intercept? Krickstall asked. 2 minutes until the shuttle reaches our station, Tactical Officer Wextim reported. Krickstall closed his eyes and made the decision that would change galactic history forever. Fire warning shots across their path, he ordered. Do not hit them directly, but make it clear they cannot approach. Energy beams lanced through space, passing just in front of the human shuttle. The message was clear. Come no closer. Inside the shuttle, Yoon Seo-jin stared in shock at the weapon's fire. They are shooting at us! Dr. Bei checked his instruments frantically. Are we hit? Are the nanites safe? We are not damaged, Yoon reported, but they clearly do not want us to approach. I am turning back to the Titan immediately. She activated the shuttle's emergency beacon and began broadcasting a distress signal as they retreated to safety. On the Titan's bridge, Security Chief Choi Hyunwoo received the distress call with alarm. Captain, our diplomatic shuttle is under attack. Captain Lee rushed to the tactical display. Are they hurt? No casualties, Choi reported, but the aliens fired on our peaceful mission. This is an act of war. Lee felt his heart sink. Everything had gone wrong. They had tried to offer help and been met with violence. 50,000 humans were now in danger in a hostile alien system. Activate all defensive systems, Lee ordered. Raise shields and prepare point defense batteries. I will not let them harm my people. The Titan's massive defensive grid came online. Energy barriers powerful enough to stop planet-killing weapons surrounded the ship. Thousands of automated gun turrets emerged from hidden panels, their targeting systems scanning for threats. To the alien fleet watching from a distance, the dreadnought had just revealed the true extent of its military capabilities. The defensive systems alone were more powerful than anything in their combined arsenal. They have activated their full war configuration, reported Fleet Analyst Texmore. Energy output is off our measurement scales. Fleet Admiral Krixtal realized there was no turning back now. The Death World species had revealed their true nature. The peaceful gestures had been deception. The gift had been a biological weapon, and now their war machine was preparing for battle. All ships battle formation, Krixtal commanded. We attack in 10 minutes. May the ancestors forgive us for what we must do. 10,000 ships began moving into attack positions. The largest military force in galactic history was about to assault a single vessel, and on that vessel, 50,000 humans who had traveled across the universe seeking peace, prepared to defend themselves against an entire galaxy that had misunderstood everything. They had tried to do. The greatest tragedy in galactic history was about to begin, born from fear, misunderstanding, and the simple fact that two completely different kinds of civilizations had finally met among the stars.